We first started philosophical inquiry because we wanted to extend the children's thinking skills. We felt as though we'd done quite a lot on them, understanding how they learnt, but we felt as though they were quite narrow-minded and they needed to extend their ideas.
First was introduced to philosophical inquiry when I went to Limeside School about just over a year ago, and they were using it with two sets of children, one from Limeside and another one from Stanley Road School.
We also wanted them to be able to communicate better. We'd done quite a lot of work on speaking and listening, and that was the next step. So that philosophical inquiry is very much about expressing yourself, but also about listening to other people, and we wanted them to be able to listen better as well.
The unique thing about philosophical inquiry is it gets people to set their own question, ask questions which don't necessarily have answers, open questions, not closed questions. So it generates a far deeper and more meaningful debate.
And then in terms of other skills, it's helped them to really understand other people. And a lot of what we do in school is about understanding other people. A lot of subjects are about thinking about the world and understanding their place in the world. Basically, it's about taking some sort of stimulus, and it can be anything that people are interested in or anything that people have views upon.
It can be anything to get people talking, to come up with questions, and then a facilitator actually sifts through those questions, writes them up, tries to make them as open-ended as possible, not closed questions.
There's some form of voting or some form of selection to decide on which question the inquiry will try and answer.
And then about 10-15 minutes discussing the question they've arrived at.
And then finally, once it's all been discussed and aired, everybody has a chance to give their last thoughts, and it's really important that everybody in contributing to the inquiry expresses those last thoughts.
It creates meaningful dialogue, and people start to think about what they're saying and how they can support their own point of view and listen to other points of views as well.
Limeside is a virtually all-white school serving the Limeside estate.
Clarkwell community is predominantly made up of Bangladeshi residents, and we've got some indigenous population here as well.
So the two communities are completely different. And in terms of Oldham's problems with very segregated communities, it's been really important for us to bring the two schools together and to bring the two communities together.
I got invited to a meeting at Clarkwell Community Partnership Group, and they were very much at the start of their formation. They'd only just started, they'd been there about 6 months. I spoke to them and said, well, if you want to get together with some of our residents, they've been through some of the things you're going through, and it might be really useful. It was only then when they were so pleased to do that we thought, well, what are we going to do to make that a bit more interesting? And that's when we thought, well, why don't we do an inquiry, philosophical inquiry?
I think this is one of the best examples of breaking down barriers, segregation. If you want to call community cohesion within the borough.
It's brought people together who wouldn't necessarily be together. It's made people talk to each other on an equal footing. It's made them explore issues and find out what's similar between different cultures, between different communities, and also what's different. And basically, to bring those groups together, it's been a fantastic device.
The biggest advantage I feel as though, a project of this nature is, community cohesion at its best, because you're actually engaging different communities in a platform where they feel comfortable.
The reason I like it is because no one's telling anyone what to think or telling anyone what to do. People come together in their own free will and set their own agenda, set their own questions, have their own discussions. I'm not preaching, no one's telling. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's about sharing, and that's why I think it's a very powerful tool for communication. The Dragon's Den was a really, really interesting one because it was like a business project, and we thought about how can we encourage business startup in this area.
In this community, we couldn't think of many parents or people in the community who actually ran businesses.
We worked with the consultant and the children, and they came up with lots of different business ideas. They learned how to market them, to manage them financially, to present them, and they did that in mixed groups with the Stanley Road Primary School, which is mainly Asian children, and so that was really good in the way it brought children together to work on a project.
It's been very, very beneficial working with Stanley Road School in terms of understanding different communities. What our children found when they first started working with Stanley Road was a lot of their parents actually run their own businesses, small businesses, but they do run them. So Stanley Road had quite a lot of experience of running businesses that they could share with our children.
So effectively we had a business development project, an enterprise development project, which was good for the children's learning, it was good for the communities, it's good for community cohesion.
The other really important thing was when we went to the Dragon's Den, we invited the parents and governors from both communities, and we got minibuses to take them together. So we had parents from our community, parents from Stanley Road community on the same minibus, took them down along with the children, and they were supporting teams from both schools and really mixed together. And I think probably it was the first chance that some of the parents had come together. So that was great. Working with Contour Housing Group has given us a lot. I think, first of all, one of the things that's given me personally is an insight into the kind of work that you do. Previously, I thought it was all about just repairing houses. I understand now it's much more about people. And I do think that working together as a partnership with the school and Contour Housing has brought the community a lot closer.
Yeah. Housing and education. I think we should be encouraging these links as much as we can. The two go hand in hand. The two are anchors in communities. You've got to have strong, housing provision and strong education.
The other thing that it's done, and I think it's really important, probably more important to the school, is it's raised people's aspirations and it's raised people's self-esteem so that they feel important, and that as well has helped their children to feel important and to believe that they can achieve great things, and that's made a big difference to the school.
It's very important for children to have stable, schooling where they get to know the teachers, they get to know what's expected of them, and they're not disrupted by moving around. So I think that's what housing associations can do to do that. Schools, on the other hand, by providing a very good education service that attracts people to stay in housing areas as well, to stay in our communities, and so it's a dual. They both work hand in hand.
I think the link between housing and education is absolutely vital, and it's definitely the future.